You ready? Well, let's call the meeting to order. This will be the meeting of the Finance Committee of Stephenson County circa Friday, November 8th, 2024. And thank you all for being here. We have several county board members here. I saw Jackie. Thank you all for being here this morning. Anybody like to pray this morning? Appreciate it.
Dear Heavenly Father, we just thank you for a beautiful day. We just ask you to help us through this budget process and get this completed, Lord. We just ask for your wisdom and insight to make the proper decisions for what's best for residents of this county. We just thank you and praise you for your guidance. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. So I would entertain a motion at this time to approve the agenda for the day. Motion.
Second.
And a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We have meeting minutes from the October 11th and October 16th, 2024 meetings. What is the committee's pleasure though?
Motion to approve.
I have a motion to approve. Do I hear a second? Second, any discussion on those? Pretty well laid out after we found them. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So we have approval of claims next in the amount of, okay, we have a couple we got to go through here. The general claims, we have cash requirements of $1.849,342.18. Manuals of $25,459.56 for a total of $1,874,801.74. Can we do these all at once? There's a reason not to.
I would say.
So, okay, so that's the first one on the board. Well, this is public safety. My apologies. We had to bring up the public safety because they didn't have a quorum, from what I understand. So, do we do public safety and public property together since they're part of the same committee?
Yes.
All right. Public property then is a total amount of $76,813.93. We have manuals of $25,99.99 and cash requirements of $74,213.94. So those two sets of claims I put before the committee.
I'll make a motion to approve. I'll second it.
Motion to approve by Kurt, second by Mr. Joger. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Finance claims this month, cash requirements of $404,081.60. Manuals of $498,830.17 for a total of $902,911.77. What is the committee's pleasure on that? I have a motion to approve. Do I hear a second? I have a second. Any discussion? Claims. I noticed there was a claim. Workers' comp.
Look at the detail we get.
That's okay, we can talk about it.
The billings from Ice Guarantee.
So I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I apologize, I've been fighting a little bit of it. Any public comment? Now is the time for public comment. If you have a comment, you're welcome to bring it forth right now. You have 3 minutes. Please state your name and then you're free to make your comment.
Martha First, I've been here before. I am a current president of the Stephenson County 708 Mental Health Board. And wanted to vet here a little bit one more time because the budget as proposed is, well, first of all, I handed out something, which is our recommendation for the 416,000 and how we divide it up. But the recommendation coming out of the last meeting was actually to lower what we had recommended and to keep it flat from prior year. And some other people will talk greatly about the need for mental health services in our community, but we would encourage you to think of it as an investment. I know that everybody in the county, if you look at our overall budget, there's been an increase to what we're giving to law enforcement. And it's like the right hand and the left hand working together. You can't really do law enforcement without investing in mental health. Also, I know sometimes people look at gun violence issues as ultimately having some roots in mental health. So we are firm in our request to try to get the 4% increase for mental health. And but we also thank you for what you've done in the past. And one more thing you may have noticed in the election, the Winnebago County actually rallied to pass a 1% sales tax for mental health. So they, as a county, are really appreciating the deep benefits of mental health investment. So thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Yeah, Illinois Board as president, and represent,
Sorry, what was your name, sir?
first name is Hugh, last name is Knapp.
Thank you, sir.
For some of you new to the committee, I brought this report regarding the legal issues that are presented with the referendum that was passed back in '67 for the mental health dollars that we now deal with, as well as the Community Mental Health Act of Illinois. My concern is that the county board be in legal good stead with the intent of those that referendum and act. With the county board exercising, taking mental health dollars, if you look at the referendum amount, it would have been going to the mental health fund as the act of that, then I don't know how many dollars that would have otherwise gone to the mental health act. But as a result of not having those additional dollars in my tenure here, Sojourn House has closed. We had Contact that was mostly volunteer service, over 30 years in existence, is closed. FHN Family Counseling Center is now closed. Ringa is a really a 4-county agency, and the Stephenson County portion of that has been in deficit, as far as I know, every year. We're relying on other counties for those dollars. And then Voices that handles domestic violence, they got a major loss of grant, which they had no control over. And we could have helped if we had reserves. We could have helped them in that transition. I'm concerned that we're reading the act and the referendum correctly. I made note, I personally don't agree with Mr. Larson's interpretation of the word "shall" that is in the referendum. It doesn't imply any discretion on the county board. That if you look at a basic grammar, the definition of "shall" is a future obligation. So I wish we could get a ruling maybe from the Attorney General so we could put this to rest, both for the integrity of the county board as well as the well-being of our county agencies that are serving mental health needs. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else? Yes, ma'am?
Hi, Connie Kraft, United Way of Northwest Illinois Executive Director. First, I want to thank you all for your public service. It's not easy, and being on the Finance Committee, you have very difficult decisions to make sure that you're looking after the well-being of our entire county. So thank you for that. As you said, please do look at the act, make sure that the county board is following that act, and this as the finance board also, please be sure that you're following that act. And then as a United Way Executive Director, and we work with all of the partner agencies in our area, the mental health services we all know are declining in our area, and the 708 board in other areas is growing, and it's providing more financial assistance to partner agencies providing mental health services in our community. So I would like for us as Stephenson County to take a look at that, maybe model after some of those others. And when it comes to decreasing funds in very specific areas, mental health right now in our county and our very specific communities is not a good thing to do. So if there is any way that you can reconsider the decrease, please do that. And then also we are for new this year at United Way making a request to the 708 board to help us cover the 211, which to me is mental health as well as infrastructure for our community. I'm sure many of you are very well aware of the issues that are happening in the aftermath of Hurricane Lee. Granted, we will never have a hurricane here. Please, Lord, no hurricanes in Stephenson County. However, we will, see floods and tornadoes and those types of things. 211 can be enacted to answer the calls for resources for individuals who could potentially be impacted by these natural disasters, as well as on a daily basis. It is available for individuals calling and saying, listen, I need help with mental health services. Who can I call in my area? And 211 will give them that resource immediately. Also, food insecurities, childcare, anything that impacts a person on a daily basis, a person can dial 211 directly and receive those resources in this available here. So we are requesting funds. We received grants for 2 years to cover the cost of 211, looking outside of our area to cover that for our area. And now we're bringing it into Stephenson County and saying we really need this assistance to keep this 211. So again, I appreciate all that you are all doing, the time that you volunteered for this. Your boardroom today is filled with volunteers in the community as well. So please consider bringing those dollars back into the 708 board and potentially increasing those dollars as well. So thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
I'm Megan Howard, and I work at RAM. RAM receives funding from the 708 board to fund both youth education and advocacy services as well as independent living services. Today, I want to discuss the vital role that independent living services plays in our community and why we would need to consider fully funding the 708 board. Every year, we see firsthand how our services empower individuals with disabilities to live independently, saving the state significant resources. On average, each person supported by our program saves the state about $36,000 annually compared to nursing home placement. Just last year, we identified 86 individuals in Stephenson County who were at imminent risk of nursing home placement if they had not received the support. The cost to the state would have been over $3.1 million. By providing our essential services like home care assistance and independent living skills training, we help people maintain their independence while also alleviating financial burden to the state. Every participant that we have served has reported an improvement in their quality of life. They gain autonomy and freedom, things that we all deserve. And about 70% of our consumers that we serve face mental health challenges or substance use disorders. A lot of times people do not openly tell us that they have a mental health diagnosis or substance use disorder. Those are the numbers that we know of. So we know that number is even higher. With increased funding, we can reach more individuals in need and provide them the support that helps them thrive. So investing in mental health is a commitment to dignity and well-being for our community members. So we just ask that you fully fund the mental health board so that they can pass that constitution. So thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Next.
Good morning, my name is Carrie Wilhelm, the Administrator of the Stephenson County Health Department.
I was very disappointed to learn that at your last meeting, you decided to eliminate our fund. I just wanted to give some additional information that may need to be considered. First, as you know, most of our programs are based on grants. Those grants only pay for certain things, only use them for what they're intended for. All grants except for one are based on reimbursement. So we have to put that money up front and then we get reimbursed, with the exception of one. We have one that I've never seen this before, provided the entire money up front, but that money has to last for 5 years. There are times when the state is very slow in sending our reimbursements, and so we have to carry that money so we can pay for things. Just an example is last year, our public health emergency preparedness grant that was 9 months behind to the tune of $30,000. So we have to have funds to keep our staff and continue that program. In addition to that, grants don't even pay for our administrative costs to cover mine and my financial manager's salary, to pay anything related to the building, whether it's repairs or I've called the plumber out. I've been here for a year and a half and I've called the plumber 3 or 4 times. So our grants do not pay for that. We do have 2 tax levies. They come in at about $99,000. But like I said, they don't cover, that's not enough to cover me and my fiscal manager. In addition to that, one of those levies is specific to TV. So if we were ever to have a TV outbreak, that money has to immediately be put towards that and no longer can help cover our administrative costs. Currently, we're able to offset costs with the money that we're receiving from the county, our tax levies, environmental health fees, other miscellaneous revenues. But please keep in mind that we pay for all of our own health insurance, FICA, and IMRF costs. We know now that insurance is going to go up. And so if every employee keeps their current plan, that means an additional $200,000. Yeah. Secondly, it's my understanding that the county board is really pushing cleaning up our county, especially related to dangerous, unsanitary, unhabitable buildings. We do have an ordinance that says the health authority is responsible for that. There's no money associated with that. Right now, I have, just in the last 3 months, I currently have 5 properties under investigation and 2 more on my desk. This includes my time going out to the property, taking pictures, sending certified letters, following up after 30 days, and potentially needing to go to court. These properties, like I said, came to me just in the last 3 months or so. Currently, the ordinance does not allow me to go on property without owner permission, but there is a push to change that ordinance to give me permission to go on property. That's going to take even more time because that opens up even more concerns. Maybe if we keep going at this rate with the current ordinance, we will need at least an additional $1,600 in salary, mileage, and certified letters. None of our grants pay for this. We have a grant that potentially can pay for something if it's specific to rodents. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Deb Scott and I am on the 7th board. I just finished up, just retired from the Freeport School District after 24 years of being a dean of students. And in that role, I was basically helping kids change their behaviors. Before that, I worked for Jane Addams at the time from Community Mental Health Service for over 10 years. So I've been a therapist and I've been in this community in my entire life, born and raised. I just want to give you perspective from my angle of people that I've worked with and why the 708 board needs the extra money. Working in the school district, and now in my retirement, I spend 2 days a week working at our alternative program as a counselor. I'm supposed to work 2 days a week, and then I volunteer another probably 10 to 15 hours a week because we don't have counseling services for our kids because of the money we provide from the 708 board, money for Rosecrans and Mississippi. And I think they still need more money to be able to get into our district. The district has certain contracts with people and they pay for certain things, but it doesn't cover enough services for our kids. And I think that I appreciate you guys and all that you do on the 708 board. We look at money too and the pressures that you have, but our kids are our future. And I think we need to invest in them and keep investing in them to make sure that they provide the future for us.
Thank you. Yes,
I
ma'am.
may add just a comment to what she said. I'm Connie Davis, Director of Outpatient Services for Center City Centers. I checked the figure before I stood up, so I made sure I was right. 10 to 16% of our children under the age of 5 have mental health issues. And I don't think we realize that. I have seen anecdotally a huge increase of the number of kids we have coming in for service that we call littles, that are 5 or 6 or under. As far as I know, the youngest we have seen is a 2. So it isn't just grown-ups that need to work on behavior stuff, or teenagers that are acting up. We've got littles too that need this. So I want to say thank you.
Thank you.
I just wanted to finish up what so said earlier.
Ma'am, please state your name.
I'm sorry,
For the-
what is the other sheet?
Sorry.
So $61,000 in salary. And bonds and but grant that just covers um, to enter the property and to inspect other areas such as fire hazards, running water, etc. And we would also need a contractor because we are not certified in those things, so that would take additional monies. The ordinance states that health authority is responsible, but it does not allocate any additional funding for this enforcement, and so that's something that we need to consider. I just want to reiterate that the county is not giving the health department any dollars this year, which is the first time in a very long time, if ever. In the past, the county has definitely helped us with finding our with legal levy, and past years it was stated to cover those costs through the general revenue fund. When COVID happened, we had a lot of support through COVID dollars and increased the amount needed through the county. But now COVID funding is over, and so we need you guys to reconsider giving us funding to cover other costs.
Anybody else? Hearing none, we will keep moving forward. I don't believe we're gonna get a report from Diamond Brothers today. I have not had a chance to talk. So everything's going okay with the transition. The plans and all that. So, pretty similar to what we did last year. County Administrator.
Yes, I will try to be brief. I just wanted to let everyone know that the city county meeting for this month was canceled as the mayor is out of town for the week. Chairman Holmes and myself have been in communication with them though to discuss anything that is pressing for this month until we meet. I've received notice that our next land bank meeting will be the first week in December. I have not finalized the date as of yet. Weekly calls with TCM continue. Our office is working on the UCCI salary and fringe benefit survey, inputting the data. The portal was opened last week, so we've been plugging away at that. Usually it consumes a little bit of time in our office, as well as the EEOC annual end of year reporting and some other things that we work on. I did roll out the employee retention satisfaction survey on October 25th. We have it open through today. As of midweek, we had about 89 responses so far. Pushed out reminders, hoping to get some more feedback before we close that survey today. Open enrollment for the new health insurance plans will be done through the EASE portal, which is the electronics open enrollment platform that we rolled out a couple years ago. Those dates will be December 2nd through the 9th for all employees. The Millrace farm lease has had 2 different interested parties contact the office for some further information and maps. Those bids are due November 14th, and we'll have the public opening at the next Planning and Development Committee meeting. Department head meeting this month, we talked about the survey, encouraging involvement with that. Mr. Louie and I have been working on the intranet expense that we approved last month. We're scheduling planning to get that rolled out, hopefully have it up and running prior to the first year. We just need to work out schedules with their training, and that Mr. Louie and I are both available for to get that open. Also just wanted to let everyone know, I did a test agenda for last night's nursing center committee meeting that Chairman Holmes and the committee chair had. My goal is to do tests on all of the committees next month, and starting in January, have active links to access the documents on the agendas for the public once we post the agendas, so that instead of a packet, you'll click on, approval of claims, and the claims will pop up. Increasing transparency and accessibility for that. So worked out a few kinks to get it going for the one meeting, and for the most part worked. So hopefully next month we'll work out the rest of it and we'll have. That is all I have.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? Hearing none, Madam Finance Director?
I do not have any questions.
No? Well, we have plenty of work to do. We have been working. So we can move on to the treasurer's report, which hopefully everybody got that from our treasurer and was able to review that. I'm not going to comment on it myself at this point. Everything looks to be in pretty decent shape. Fund wise. And we'll see when we end up here today next year. Where all that will be by then. Yeah, pretty decent shape right now. Let's see here. Review and approval of proposed 2025 budgets. So let's get into it. We have the general corporate is up first. Revenues at 000.
So I don't think there's any question about the real estate tax levy at this point. We did reallocate those funds from IMRF to the general fund to help with the deficit there. There is one other change. I did speak with the county clerk about the revenue stamp amount, and she agreed to increase that to $95,000 for 2025. So that change has been made. The transfer from ARPA was slightly reduced, and I will get into that later in the budget. But overall, we're looking at a surplus of almost 71,000. So I think the revenues are in line. I don't think there are any other changes that need to be made at this time. So any specific questions on any of the line items?
Where does the cash carry forward come from again?
The cash carry forward is the cash in bank, and yeah,
Keep this at 6 months or above.
it'll be probably 5.4 million reserves using this.
I don't think that's 6 months.
Is that 6 months of reserves?
No. 4 and 5.
Four and five is better than 0.
Right.
If the committee will recall, our the folks that do our audit are recommending the 6 month reserve. So that's where the rub comes in. If you take that 3 million and move it forward into the budget, you're not going to have a full 6 month reserve. What would that number be if we kept?
That's a deficit of $1 million.
Yeah, it's kind of.
I just don't
So-
feel like there's any wiggle room. Our biggest expense in the general fund is obviously personnel. I think at this point in the game, it's kind of late to make
Yeah, we don't really
those
have-
changes.
So that's your recommendation of the committee?
Yes.
That's a recommendation.
So,
I said, if that's her recommendation. Move it.
do I hear a motion?
We can do that.
So I have a motion to approve what is presented to the presented by the finance director. Do I hear a second?
A second.
So we have a motion and a second. I was thinking you could, I mean, if you're $71,000 over, you could take some of that. Ladies do it a lot good. Anybody have any other thoughts, comments on this? All right. Mr. Chairman, do you know if we need roll call votes on these?
No.
Gotcha. All those in favor of moving this revenue line forward, say aye. Opposed? Transfer account 922.
Okay, the reason we did not, approve the transfer account is because of the health department transfer, that this is currently showing that $15,000 to the health department has been removed. Capital fund, that funding has been decreased just because of the situation in the general fund. Debt service is a standing transfer to Millrace Crossing, for those debt certificates. And this is the final year for the coroner vehicle lease.
So if I remember correctly, you said we had a $71,000
Surplus, yes,
surplus.
overall.
Where does that show? Can you show us the end? Everybody in here, kind of take a look at that.
71 in general.
Correct.
What's
Just in
the
general
general
fund.
This number is slightly deceiving, just to reiterate that a lot of these funds are restricted.
So the transfer fund itself, that ties into what the health department requests for.
It's
In order to facilitate the later budget of the health department, if we wanted to reconsider that, we would have to do that right now. Everybody understand that? What is the pleasure of the committee at this point? Now, does that include the 708 board too? Transferring out of here?
No.
That's separate.
separate
Levy,
levy.
correct? Okay. Just making sure everybody understands. Does the committee want to put the 15K back in for the help? So I've got a nod for yes. Second. Okay. So Kurt, I'm assuming that was a motion to put 15,000 back into the health department.
Yes.
And Larry seconded that motion. Please do.
Okay, so when we were talking about this last month, we were very tight, we still are. I'm okay with this. When we looked at the 708 board, they do awesome work. I totally get all that, but there was a spreadsheet that we saw, at least I saw, somebody had it, where it showed very, very good increases in the last 4 months. I don't know if that's still available. That's why it's like, the condition that the budget's at, it's like, keep that flat. That's why I made that motion for something. So just wanted to clarify why I did what I did. So I'm okay with this 15,000.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So I need a motion on the overall line then of 922, the transfer account. Are there any other questions on the transfer account?
Motion to approve.
I hear a motion to approve in a second. And any other question? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed? 522 expenses.
That's a typo.
Huh?
That's a typo. That
I
should
was gonna say, I remember seeing it.
So moving on to the capital fund, the revenues, that comes from a state income tax allocation, personal property replacement tax. There's some court security and jail inmate medical revenue that comes in that needs to be specifically used for those expenses. So that's why you'll see the large amount, in cash carry forward. The sheriff has not used those dollars for a number of years. So we're bringing that into the budget so he can pay for some of those expenses out of the capital fund. So there's a standing vehicle lease that we pay for sheriff's vehicles. The only other expense is the highway oil truck lease. The IT upgrades I also included because those were discussed at last month's meeting. And the facilities equipment that was submitted for supplemental requests. So I can go back to those requests if you would like me to, or,
Looks like paintless.
pardon?
Was it at
Well, it
one?
was 120.
Right, and it was reduced,
Yes.
yes. And then the vehicle was going to be supplied by the sheriff's department, so this is the trailer and zero turn mower.
Were you able to get with him then and like some of the costs and things that already used up? That's more on the harvest. Okay. So any other thoughts on this one? Three, so budget's down.
You okay with this, Brian? We talked.
So, there was some discussion about this at highway department currently does do mowing. And so, we talked about this ability that has highway department to take care of the other, locations that they're currently being, mowed by townships or, some other, not the highway department. The idea that I saved the 20,000. Do that, but the issue that we ran into is that the service also involves some garbage. Doesn't have any room to handle that. So I think it was the preference was to be able to keep those two separate, and that we would actually need to do the zero turn mower. At the end of the day, conclusion was we based it a little bit, but
There was like 7 landings that had to be mowed or something.
That sounds like a motion. To approve as is.
yes.
Second.
I'll second it.
Motion and second. Any other discussion in this? Those in favor say aye. Opposed? Expenses.
Just the revenues or the whole capital fund? Just the revenues.
Part of my that wasn't.
That was the whole thing. Let me just to clarify the minutes. Ryan, was your motion declared to approve the revenue and expenses?
Yes.
So everybody understands that? That's a good word. Thank you. I should be more clear. Health Department.
So adding that transfer back in. There will be a $15,000 surplus. If you want to speak to that.
Yes, if you could just move it. Or
Expenses?
revenue, sorry.
Okay. Here?
Yes.
Okay. Budgeted no balance.
So their budget. It's hard for me to see that because can you do the screen split on, go back to that. Can you do a screen split at the top so you can see what each column? No. Yeah, like right there. Keep that at the top. You know how to do that?
And freeze them?
Yeah, just so when you go down to the bottom, you're actually seeing the department reports. The year to date, yes, reset line.
It's going to, it's going to keep the health department as the header.
Well, no, you can freeze it.
Okay.
I was just talking about all the.
view. View, I think.
Is it view?
View, I think.
It's a problem.
Freeze.
I don't want to check in. But I do that all the time because it drives me nuts. I can't ever remember what's up there.
You gotta go one lower and then do.
So now everybody can see bottom line, 2023 actual was 2.8. 2024 budget was 3.8. 2024, that's 831, 2.7. Let's see a little bit of it. So again, our 15 out of that is in terms of the overall budget.
What's it? We're up 200 counts.
Yeah. So what's committee's budget with this? The rest really isn't under our purview, so we just vote on 15. I said most of the rest of this we have. Still aren't, I'm having a hard time still understanding the relationship with us. That's a sign. I would entertain a motion to approve this budget as presented.
So more.
I hear a motion by Mr. Bush. Do I hear a second?
Second.
I hear a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Animal Control 016. Brian's favorite budget.
So with the health insurance increases and HSA contribution increases, that budget ended up having a deficit. So I did increase the transfer from ARPA $5,000 to cover that deficit. And just to remind you that this is coming from interest that we've earned on those dollars. It's not actually part of the ARPA budget.
Everybody get that? So that should adequately fund that department for one. In our estimation at this level.
Yes.
Brian, I would entertain a motion to approve that.
I would, so moved.
Okay, any second? Sure. Okay, Mr. Lewis. Any other discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. IMRF 033.
So currently, this real estate tax levy amount has been reduced by the $26,000 for mental health, just to show you that fund would be healthy if you choose to fund the mental health board fully through the tax levy with a surplus of 97,000. So this is the only question mark that will change to so if mental health is kept at 390,000, that will change to 896,000. And the surplus will be 123.
So according to your estimates, we have enough to fully fund 7.
The IMRF fund is very, very healthy. 26.
26.
So let's move that back to the original number you had. And I would entertain a motion to approve that as presented by Adrian, then on the annual health. I have a motion to approve. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Favor, please. Any other discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No. And again, this has to go to the full board. Mental health board. Keep that in mind.
So this includes their portion of the tax levy with the full 416 included. And the breakdown to all of the agencies is below. Surplus of $25.
Mr. Chairman, on the discussion of the original thing back in 57 was voted on to institute that. Are you aware of what Shell or any of this stipulates? Can you enlighten the committee on that? Because some of this, I have no idea what you're saying.
Well, I believe Mr. Knapp brought this forward a few years ago. Approximately 2019, possibly, when the county was having funding difficulties, budget, we approved. We had rearranged or realigned, is probably the proper term, some of the levies for tax cap, so you can't increase the levies. We had Carl Larson get into it, and it was his interpretation that we were allowed to do so. That's about all I can tell you.
Okay. So we don't know what, if any, there were changes in percentages or things like that. There were some at that time.
Oh,
Not-
Wouldn't off the top of my head.
Right.
It
No,
was
I'm just,
5 years ago.
so again, just for the committee's benefit. Some of you guys may be aware.
Mr. Frick, Mr. Bush, all on the board at the time as well.
What you just said.
We had a similar issue with veterans assistance.
To be able to do it all. Okay, yes.
I have some language right here. This was a House Bill 4951 that was will take effect July 1st of 2024. In that bill, it says, provides that nothing in these provisions prevents a governmental unit from levying less than the amount approved by the voters via referendum in any given year, or varying amount levied from year to year as approved by the government unit. So that's an amendment to the Community Mental Health Act.
From 2024.
Yes.
We even got newer statutes that apply. That's good. Thank you.
Welcome.
Okay, so we have in front of us the mental health fund, fully funded as requested. Would entertain a motion to approve that. Well, Mr. Bush, second. Baker, any other discussion?
I'd just like to say, I mean, this, when I'm looking at the paper, board representing, and voting on here, I think mental health is a very important issue, something that we really need to address. When I first started in politics in 1989, I sat on Family Life Center board at that time. And over time, I'm seeing that mental health has become an increasing issue that we really need to address. And mental is something that we need to address now instead of later. No, we will have to address this issue. As a coach, as a bus driver, I see it every day. I see it every day. Kids who are off the sport is a good thing that they are. Because as most of you know, this year the football team had an excellent season, but you just don't know the issue that the coaches have to deal with. So I just think that mental health is something that we really, really need to take serious and get involved.
Yes, sir.
I just have look at the 48-31 for United Way, and I won't say United Way is not doing, they do good things. But are we sure in this request that the 48-31 is going to mental health, or does it just go into the general fund and get spread out wherever it goes to United?
I don't know the answer to that. I do believe we have someone in the room that could answer that possibly. Ma'am, would you mind stepping up?
Absolutely.
Right.
So, maybe the 4831 will go directly to the 211 service. We pay $13,178 a year to have it regionally, so students in Joliet and Carroll counties. When we made the request to the 708 board, 70% of the calls that are going into 211 are from students in Carroll. So our initial request was for 70% of that 13,178, which I believe was $7,000. And so we were 100% happy with receiving the 4831. That will cover, yes, 35% of the calls from Stephenson County. And then what we do then is look elsewhere. Again, we brought the dollars in from outside of our county for the first 2 years to just get it up and going. I don't want to have to do that again. I truly believe it's an infrastructure issue for Stephenson County. And I would love to see more input from Stephenson County to continue that service. So we're happy with the 4831 to start with. That will go directly to, we keep no admin dollars. $13,178 is our fee to have the 211 service provided. That those dollars will go directly to that service.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And I can just kind of pile on Mr. Bush's comment a little bit. You know, I'm really encouraged by what I see by faith community. You know, for Mr. Brown and his efforts. That that recent thing that I saw you at with my family. Just trying to bring the community together and get rid of violence, get rid of that. There's too much vitriol and too much violence, and I think a lot of that causes a lot of this anxiety in our kids and things like that. I know even in my own 2 boys that I still have at home that are 10 and 12, when my wife and I get too wrought up about something, it's not good for them. And I think it's to have an effort there, even with the faith community being involved. I'd like to see more of that within the area, because I don't know that the churches really do as much as they could to be involved in things to help our men. If you don't have faith in this life, it's a bad place to be. So I think to me, that's a big part. Anyway, enough said. I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carried. ARPA. Favorite subject.
Okay, so the cash carry forward number, I just wanted to kind of go down the list to share what is included in that number. So there are lease payments that we have for the HVAC and associated equipment. That lease will run out in January of 27. So I did include that in the number. There is the $500,000 allocated to German Valley. I was not sure how that was going to go, if those dollars were going to be spent this year.
We still have a few weeks to find out whether that's
Right.
No.
Right. So that,
I'm sure Mr. Ferguson has a comment for us that I know, at least to my knowledge, at this point, we there was some discussion around some invoicing of some equipment, but that equipment has been guaranteed and paid for by Illinois DPA. But anyway, well, let's get to that. Go ahead and finish.
So the highway department has let me know that $500,000 is going to be left over from the 2024 budget, so we will carry that over into 2025. We did get some reimbursement from the city of Freeport for the criminal live scan booking station and some small amounts left over from the estimated costs of these projects, the health department controller and the county clerk's digital records project. The county board meeting software has not been paid for at this point. It's not been chosen. So I moved that into 2025 as well. There's going to be 250,000 left from the courthouse capital repairs that will, sorry, I should not, that's the 213. Which will go to the general fund. And the sheriff also let me know that 165,000 of the courthouse capital repairs will be paid in 25, along with the HVAC labor expense. So those are the amounts that make up this cash carry forward.
So is it a true statement to say we need to decide where all those funds are going?
Some of those are, I mean, the overall ARPA plan has already been established. The only,
But if we're getting, say, let's just focus on one line, 33, 37, 74. That's coming back because it wasn't spent. We need to decide what to do with that. We got to take
that was
back and
going
put it
to, yes, the general fund.
Yeah. But we don't get to keep that. We haven't spent it.
So I'll provide the breakdown. So these are the actual, this is what we budgeted. This is the overall American Rescue Plan.
Mhm.
These are the dollars that were allocated. This is the actual amount. So if we go down the list here, everything, there was an additional $42,000 spent in 2021 paid to Fairground that was not previously included in that. That's why that number has changed. Everything else is pretty much hitting the mark. The road projects will be spent. So with all of these allocations, we are actually, that is the exact dollar amount that we were given
So you can,
by the U.S. Treasury.
Mr. Chairman, you have a comment?
Well, when you had asked, do we need to keep that money? My answer is absolutely yes. We're not sending it back to the federal government. If that is what you're asking.
Then what I was asking was, if we allocated $10 to do something, we only spent $7, still got $3 left. We got to be out. We have to do that right now.
Yes.
That's
We're
what
going to
we're
November.
getting.
You scroll under here.
Sure.
Yeah, I don't want us to miss it. If this goes back in the general fund, to me, at some point, that's.
Chairman, question.
Yes, sir.
Now, can we use this supplemental request, like highway department or anything?
Well, that, the committee is any extra money that's left over, we should put it. I mean, that's one thing that's out there. That we haven't been able to fully fund, the eligible funds.
So that's why down
Come on.
here. So right now it has it going to German Valley. Just depending on what transpires in the next month.
So it's one of those two things. If we get, Mr. Chairman, do you know what is going to happen mean, if we get a valid invoice from them that we agree to pay, we're gonna have to decide that kind of,
German ballot.
yes.
So if you'll oblige me, I've
Yes,
got
sir.
an email from August 12th that was sent by Sean Gallagher to myself, and Mr. Frick. I'll just read it real quick. It's short. Please find modified agreement signed by the village last week. A hard copy should be coming in the mail as well. They signed the German ballot for the highlighted version with the signatures on pages. I've also included our first round of invoices for engineering and mobilization. Remember, this is August 12th. We will be reimbursed by IEPA on these at some point. Didn't know if you wanted to pay off these. And send you follow-up invoices for the lift station or wait for those later this fall. At that time, I had a conversation with Mr. Gallagher. It's a county board. We are responsible for acting in good faith. Jordan Valley applied for and was approved for funding for those two invoices that they sent. Now, I'm not acting in good faith if I submit those invoices to be paid from ARPA funds, knowing German Valley is going to be submitting this exact same invoices to IEPA for reimbursement, which is why we went through the whole process for the lift station. I still stand on that. Now, I sent an email to Georgia. She forwarded Mr. Frick's email to her about that. So I responded. Mr. Gallagher and Mr. Frick indicated to me in August that these very expenses, the attached invoices, were already being reimbursed for applied for and approved IEPA funding, and that they would be modifying the IGA to reflect the station portion of the project, and that would be specifically what they would be asking Stephenson County for reimbursement for, utilizing the county's ARPA funds. Finance and full board can then decide the next course of action. I know where I stand on that. I don't believe we should be reimbursing those invoices that are already going to be paid, but it's not my decision. So I asked the administrator to reach out to Sikich. So I will just let you speak to that real quick.
Okay, so, Adrian and I had a conversation with Lindsay Fish from Sikich, yesterday. And she said that it would be an audit finding on our audit if they realized that we reimbursed for something that was being reimbursed with IEPA funds as well. Following up with that conversation, I spoke to our state's attorney as to what we should look for. After Carl and I's conversation, Carl said, looking at what we had, it wasn't clear that they were actually seeking reimbursement of those invoices. There was not a directive, are you going to, clearly asking us to pay them. So his recommendation, which I did yesterday, was to correspond with the village president, Mr. Jewell, ask for in writing what they are looking for and whether or not these invoices could be paid with other IEPA funds, and what they're seeking from the county. So that email was sent yesterday. I've not heard back from Mr. Jewell yet. But Mr. Larson's recommendation is get in writing clear statement of whether or not they're seeking the reimbursement from us and if those are going to be paid or asked for reimbursement from
Because it
it.
could in fact be accurate to say if we paid that $500,000 and it came to light that in consideration of these invoices and those were then paid by IEPA. The government could come back to us and say, hey, wait a minute. Yep, here. You guys.
Mr. Larson said that'd be quite a bit
We're
of
gonna be out
ramifications.
$500,000. We don't have. That is a concern.
But why do you think the village, the village is not trying to get twice the money for part of the project? They're using those dollars for the whole project. It's just like when we sat at the board meeting and claiming that the village is trying to hoodwink the board. That's not what they're doing. They're trying to fund the project.
I don't think anybody was saying this. I wasn't intending that.
But
But-
that's the way,
My-
they're not trying to get money from IEPA and the county for the same thing.
Well, that is, to me, it's a functional aspect of how the project is laid out right now. It's something that they've, When we approved the money previously, it was an emergency situation. There was no other funding available. There was nothing in the pipeline that we were aware of. So a lot of us at the county said, hey, here's an opportunity to help out our people in our community. And then between the time that we did that and they went to spend the money, they got additional funding. So that, to me, that just changed the landscape a little bit in terms of what those dollars, because we only have so many dollars available, obviously.
But are they using it for that project?
And again, if that's the case, we've made a commitment, they had an agreement, and they can bill us for that. But I think if, from what George is saying, she went back to the village president to say, hey, what specifically are you going to use these for? So I believe that's a valid consideration. If they say, hey, we're going to use this for the balance of the project, whatever that is, then we can consider that as a board at this time. Does it make sense for us to spend that money? So the problem we have, I think, as a committee, unless I'm mistaken, is we need to identify what those dollars are going for right now, or we just need to say they're going to be used for one of these two things and leave that up to the board at some point, because it may even roll into December. I mean, we have to decide before the end of the year, correct, Mr. Helms?
Well, German Valley has until the end of November to submit invoices.
So we're going to know if those are spent by the end of this month. That month.
My contention is merely the two invoices that were submitted, which not total $500,000.
It's $84,016.70.
My only issue with those invoices were that they were already going to be paid from other funds. Okay. At the end of the day, we're the ones that are going to be audited. It's not in any way suggesting that German Valley is trying to put anybody. It's merely to submit invoices that are not being funded from any other source.
So as it stands, right now, those funds are allocated toward water and sewer project in German Valley. We're going to know if those funds have been expended by the end of this month. And we will have an opportunity to review that in December, correct?
Right. I don't see a way that you pull the $500,000 out of this budget. I believe it needs to be passed with those dollars in there, according to the IGA, which gives them the latitude of November 30th to submit invoices. If they don't, then absolutely I'm going to ask the board to reopen the budget in December to reallocate those funds prior to the end of the fiscal year, which we're required to do by November.
Everybody understand? I think that makes perfect sense. I would be in agreement. I would entertain a motion to that effect. I have a motion right here. Second. I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All right, hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Any other discussion on budget items? Okay, we'll review that next week. We have new business approval of sale of surplus properties. I have in front of me two totaling $2,105. And I would entertain a motion to approve this as moved. Move second. Second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay. Approval of 2024 tax levy ordinance. Here. Oh, those are the two resolutions. So I don't have a resolution for the tax levy ordinance. Did I miss something? Is that in the packet? So an ordinance providing for the property tax levy of the county of Stephenson, state of Illinois for the fiscal period beginning January 1st, 2025 and ending December 31st, 2025. So to the chairman and members of the county board of Stephenson County, Illinois, I'm not going to read this whole thing, but be it resolved and ordered by the county board and for the county of Stephenson and the state of Illinois, there'll be, and there is, hereby levy the sum of $5,734,533 to cover and pay expenses for the fiscal year beginning January 1st, 2025. And then it goes on to say, if you read through the rest of the ordinance, it directs those funds out to where they're purposed to go. Nursing Center Fund, 500,000, Highway Department Fund, 630, County Matching, 310, County Bridge Fund, 310, Veterans Assistance, 200, County Health Department, 4722, Liability Insurance, 840, Social Security contributions, 509,059, Illinois Municipal Retirement Fund, 896,751. Is that accurate?
That is not accurate.
That is
So
not
that is with these amounts are with the flat, mental health
From 16, that's gonna be
contributions. So
880.
I'm changing that now to 870,751. Mental health will be 416.
County Mental Health, 416. And tuberculosis, 58,655. I would entertain a motion to approve this and as presented with those changes. So I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carries. So the annual appropriation ordinance, which I, in layman's terms, would say the annual budget.
It's just names, basically every single fund that we have.
All right. We, the Committee of Finance and Procurement of the County Board of Stephenson County, Illinois, respectfully recommend the following scheduled proposed appropriations to be known as the annual appropriation ordinance for the County of Stephenson, State of Illinois, for the fiscal period beginning January 1st, 2025 and ending December 31st, 2025 for all corporate purposes for said fiscal period of said county. And then I'm not going to read the whole rest of that. This will fund the budget for 2025 as we have approved. So I would entertain a motion to that effect. I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed? Board then next week. Any other chair reports? Anybody have a comment they want to make about anything else? I'm going to hold off. I've said plenty today.
I just had one comment.
Yes, sir.
We're at the administration committee, we have the polling place thing ready to go through. So like 3 or 4 separate items for Aaron, Water Townships, Village of Winslow, Rock City Fire Department. Small one for County Highway to upgrade the polling. That's reimbursed by the state. Total 38,752. The full board. The next meeting is Tuesday. Tuesday. Yes. Yeah.
No, I can just add a couple things real quick. One, I know Mr. Joverst and I talked separately a while back about this. When I went to vote this year, something hit me that I'm like, how do I know that the machine read what I intended to vote? Don't get a receipt. It just says thank you for voting. I know we have the paper backup. Paper copy in case there are questions, but it would be certainly nice to have the thing kick out something like, hey, this is what I saw. This is what you intended. So I could go, hey, that makes sense. So just FYI, again, I wasn't going to push the envelope this time, but in future elections, I think that would be great. Now, if we went to just paper ballots and no machines, of course, you're not going to have that, but we have the paper copy as well. So again, and that may be a something or some form of pushback. Like, well, what do you mean? You got the paper copy. I don't know that the machine read that. You know, my intended purpose of what I believe. So it was just a question mark. Makes sense to consider.
It's like you go to the grocery store, you get a receipt, you get a receipt, just so that would be nice to look at. Yep, that's what I voted for. I'm still good to go.
Yes, sir.
What is this page I'm being asked to sign with the numbers on it for?
Those are the two, property sales. Yep. Any other public comment? Yes, ma'am.
One more time.
Please state your name again. I'm sorry to make you do that. Yep.
Okay, there. And we have requested my executive director. Thank you all, again, for all you do. I get it. I work on budgets every year too, all year long. It never goes away. So thank you for that. As you talk about ARPA funds, I guess parts of them are related when we do the emergency human shelter. But 211 truly is an infrastructure issue. When hurricane, and I probably said this, but I don't know, I like clear my words. When that happened, they implemented 211 immediately, so that if an individual within an area that's recovering from the disaster, they had a resource to call. This would be lovely if this were available if the disaster hit our area. Again, we use United Way funds to supplement what we're not able to get from the outside to cover this cost, which takes away from our campaign that then gives to our partner agencies who are working on many other things to help our region. So if you do have ARPA funds left, please consider this as part of your infrastructure estimates. This is huge. I expect our contract will be good for $13,178 for 1 more year, so 2025. After that, all of the call centers are reevaluating their cost, and we expect this price to increase drastically, which is going to put us in a very difficult position to be able to continue to offer this service and resource for our community. So other communities have used our ARPA funds to cover the 211 costs. And again, we don't keep these dollars. These dollars come in our door and we send it straight out to pay that bill. So I appreciate your question about where that goes. You can look us up on GuideStar. You can see our entire 990 and where all of our dollars go. So I pride ourselves in being the platinum nonprofit in the community that does allow you to see everything that we spend our dollars on. So feel free to take a look at that. If I can come in and provide any additional information on United Way or especially 211, I am more than happy to do that for the full board. But again, if there are ARPA funds left available, please toss this in as part of your infrastructure because it will come in handy. It's greatly needed if something happens. Another flood in our community with contact being done. So contact was our point for people to call in and say, hey, I need this service. I need some assistance. Where do I go? And contact would make that resource. 211 is that service now for us. So please consider that as you move forward. And again, thank you all. I would never, I'll say this, I'll sit on any board except for the school board or county or city board. So thank you all for your service and it's very appreciated.
Thank you for coming today. May I ask a question quick?
Yeah.
Do you deal with Meals on Wheels at all?
We do not do Meals on Wheels because that is the hospital. We have to have a special diet to qualify for that. We do fund Golden Meals, which is the senior program.
Okay.
Yes, we fund them. I think their funding this year was $6,000. So yes, and again, those dollars were raised from our community campaign, which many of you are a part of, and thank you for that as well. But yes,
We got a request from one of them, right?
they need it. They need it.
Yeah, I know.
Yes.
Okay. Any other thoughts, comments, questions? Hearing none, Mr. Bush? Oh, wait.
Question for Georgia, is the enterprise zone thing on the board budget or on the board agenda? Enterprise zone
Should be.
expansion.
Yes.
Oh, yes, yes.
I just wanted to make one comment about that.
Yes, sir.
Might
Please
be
do.
enterprise zone coming for the board and expansion of that enterprise zone to include an area out by Rose City Elevator, Atkins Energy, and Rafters, which probably most of you are familiar with. Glad to see some of the things that are going to be planned for out there
Make a lot of sense.
and looking for support for that as we go to the board.
Yes, sir.
Is that the same one that the city council is?
Yes.
Yes. It's just the expansion of the enterprise zone, that's all.
I heard a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
I'd like to make one comment. I'd like to thank Mr. Kaplan for his service the last couple of years. Thank you very much for being part of this committee.
Bill, we should sit down.
Just wanted to say that. All right, motion and second, all those in favor say aye.
I,
Opposed?
Well,
Now there's